All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. After winning their first NBA championship in franchise history last June, the Denver Nuggets attempted to run it back. Now, Denver returned this season with primarily the same squad that they had last year, which is why they were once again in contention to win it all. But unfortunately for Denver, they ran into a very hungry and determined Minnesota Timberwolves team who not only beat them in game seven on their own home floor, but they won three times in Denver during the series. Now, in comparison to Minnesota, to this Minnesota team that Denver beat in the first round last year, the Timberwolves unit was much better this year. And on top of that, we really saw that intensity on the defensive side of the floor. And at the end of the day, Minnesota, and this is no disrespect to Denver, they just wanted it more. Okay. And it kind of goes back to that old adage: as the wolf climbing the mountain tends to be hungrier than the one who is already there. I say this because to me, there were just too many lapses at times throughout the season from the Nuggets and too many lulls. As you know, sometimes they played like they kind of believed their own press clippings at times, okay? And simply the hunger that we saw from them last year was not there this year at times, okay? And that intensity was not there at times. But nonetheless, I still think it's going to be a very interesting off season as far as seeing what changes are going to be in store as the Nuggets look to get back to the championship level. Now, of course, the bulk of Denver's core is still intact. Next year is going to be very interesting, though. Even with that said, for this team, Jamal Murray is entering the last year of his deal. Will he get an extension this summer? We got to wait and see. Will it be the final season for a guy like Aaron Gordon? I mean, Gordon, he's under contract through 2025. He has a player option at 23 million, close to 24 million through 2026. So would he exercise that? We've got to see that. KCP, who has been a vital perimeter defender for the Nuggets over the last several seasons. He has a player option next season for about 15.5 million. Will he exercise that, or will he look to test the free agent market? We got to wait and see. Of course, Nikola Jokic isn't going anywhere. Michael Porter Jr. is under contract for the next couple of seasons, and then on top of that, um, you have that additional salary cap apron. And that's, the Nuggets fall under that, just like a lot of teams around the NBA. It's going to come down to ownership there. Are they or would they be willing to deal with that? That's going to be the $1 million question for the Nuggets, as well as a lot of other teams, as far as how they shape their rosters for next season. Now, Denver, make no mistake about it, they still have the luxury of having the big fella as the key piece to their franchise. And I'm talking about Nikola Jokic, three NBA MVP awards in the last 4 years. You're talking about a walking triple double from the center position. And you just look at what he did in the postseason in 12 games for the Nuggets. He averaged nearly 29 points per game, 13 and a half boards, and nearly 9 assists. Okay. So at the end of the day, as long as you got the big fella, as long as you can keep him healthy, the Nuggets are going to have a chance. For Michael Malone, the Nuggets head coach, still one of the best in the business as far as head coaches go in the National Basketball Association, still able to go out there and get that message across to his team. And it's just going to be interesting to see what tinkering that the Nuggets will do in the offseason to try to bring it back. For Denver's credit, honestly, I felt like, and I've talked about it a lot throughout the season. I felt like the Nuggets had what it took to go back and repeat as NBA champions. I said it through these playoffs as well. And you know what? They faced a very good and they faced a very game Minnesota Timberwolves team. And it was one of those where I felt like, okay, whoever won that series, I was still picking Denver. I know I didn't pick right, but it's one of those I felt like whoever would did win that series was going to win the Western Conference. If you listen to what I said as far as the Western Conference Finals preview between the Dallas Mavericks and Minnesota Timberwolves, I did pick Minnesota to win that series. But getting back to Denver and Minnesota, to Minnesota's credit, this was old school basketball. And I say it from the standpoint where you face a team like the Nuggets. Granted, not having Jaden McDaniels in that series last year was big for the Timberwolves when they lost in 5 games to the Nuggets in the first round. We saw Anthony Edwards ball out in that series, but it's one of those. It's old school basketball. You just looked at it from a front office aspect and said, okay, the Nuggets are in our division. The Nuggets are in our conference. The Nuggets just won the NBA championship, and they beat us last year in the postseason. What can we do to get better, to be on their level and beat them? And again, it started at the defensive end. And too often, we see, teams trying to go out there and add all-star players, add this guy, add that guy. No, no, no. The Nuggets, pardon me, the Timberwolves rather, simply went out there and got better at the defensive end of the floor. And that was the difference in this series, in my opinion. You look at it, um, the 4 games that the Nuggets lost in this series, they were held under 100 points in each of those games. Okay. And you look at it after Denver won game 5 at home by 15 points, a lot of people, thought this series was over. Okay. And, Minnesota came and they balled out in game 6. And of course, that's the one thing about the NBA playoffs. One team wins a game. Some people want to jump on the bandwagon and say the series is over, X, Y, and Z. But you knew that after Denver played in the way that they played in game 6, I said this, they could not play any worse than they did in game 6 in comparison to what they would look like prior to game 7. Okay. They started off strong. I know they had the 20-point lead. I know that they had a 15-point lead at the break. But, credit to the Timberwolves defense. And again, those lulls that I talked about throughout the season at times with the Nuggets, crept up again. And again, on top of that, it's credit to the Timberwolves defense. But like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what the Nuggets do. And it's like I said, it comes down to how this organization wants to attack that additional salary cap, the cap apron. That's going to be the big factor as far as what the Nuggets, what direction they're going to go in. I do believe they're going to make another run at this thing. It's just going to be interesting to see who's on board. I clearly Michael Porter Jr. is there. Clearly Nikola Jokic is there. Clearly Murray is there. I think Aaron Gordon's back. It's just going to be interesting to see what comes down, how it comes down with KCP. Is he going to exercise his option, or is he going to look to hit it bigger? Okay, in the free agent market, we have to wait and see. But I think the Nuggets, they're still a championship contending team. Okay. You're talking about, in actuality, I know that they went when they won the finals last year, they went 53-29 in the regular season. They went 57-25 this year in the regular season. So I know people are gonna listen to me and say, well, how could you say that they had lapses and they had lulls? It's one of those they just did. And I say it from the standpoint that I think they found out firsthand how tough it is to run it back, or how tough it is to be a champion, because everybody wants a piece of you, because now you are the litmus test. And I think at times Denver did pass that test. Okay. But at the same time, they found out that there are some teams out there that are just hungry and coming after you. And I think, Denver has to go out there and reclaim that hunger. Maybe getting bounced out a little bit earlier. Okay. Having some additional time off during the summer, because you figure when you're the NBA champion, your season's over late June. Okay. So you're getting like a slow start, if you will. It's a good problem to have as far as your off season goes. So now we're not even at Memorial Day, and the Nuggets season is over. And now they got a chance maybe to breathe and, like I said, try to tinker with things and try to get this thing going again. But nonetheless, Solid season, yes, for the Denver Nuggets. They had some lulls. Uh, they got away with things in the first round against the Lakers as far as starting off slow because they knew they could get away with those things against the Lakers, but they couldn't get away with those things against a better pardon me, Minnesota Timberwolves team, and it caught up to them. Credit to the Timberwolves because they are a legit team. And I mean, at the end of the day, Denver was really only one game better in the standings than Minnesota was during the regular season. That's all it came down to. But nonetheless, we're not going to have a repeat NBA champion once again. You got to go back to the Golden State Warriors of 2018. And I'm going to be touching on that in the coming days as well. But nonetheless, um, the Nuggets gave it all as far as trying to go out there and repeat. It didn't work out. So it's back to the drawing board in the Rocky Mountains as the Nuggets look to get back to that championship level for 2025. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.